Okay, got it. This meeting is being live streamed. And it looks like we're live. I'm just gonna double check here. Okay. Cool. We are, and I have two people I'm supposed to tag. Kenette.
Yes.
Thank you for joining me today.
You're welcome.
Tell us a little bit about who you are.
So my name is Kenette Donaldson, and I live in Kitsap County, Bremerton, Silverdale area. And let's see, I'm 48, and we have a mixed kind of family. We have like his, mine, and ours as far as the kids go. I am a grandma. My son has 2 kids now, and we have an 11-year-old at home. So that's about it in a nutshell. 2 cats.
Yes. One that we just got to see that jumped off before we hit live.
Yes, he may show up again, but
good. Well, he's welcome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, the reason I invited you here today is to just kind of talk about the transformation that you have experienced for the last few months. We started working together in January for my 3-month one-on-one coaching program. So I'm curious, like, what was the thing that you were struggling with before we started working together?
So mostly I was struggling with a lot of guilt. So I had spent lots and lots of money on just, you name it, any kind of diet, shakes, bars, apps. I don't want to name specific ones, but there was one particular one that I would download the subscription like every couple months, and I would literally not even use it, and I was getting charged for it. So just, just a lot of money over many years. This has, gone on for years, and nothing ever worked. Like I would try it and I'd do okay for a little bit, and then I would just say forget it and not do it. And so much guilt, just so much guilt around the money spent, the time spent.
And just to be clear, like the outcome you were trying to get by doing these shakes or subscription things was weight loss, right? Like that was,
yes. Sorry,
that was the goal.
Yes, always. What's the latest thing going to help me lose weight? So
yeah, like so many of us, especially women here in America. Congratulations, you're totally average. Yeah, cool. So what was like the thing that had you say yes and really ready to try something different?
So I was trying to figure out how to just, love myself where I'm at, right? And I, if you don't know, Leah and I were in a group together, and then we meet every week. And so I would get to hear from her every week. And then I, signed up for her emails, and then her Facebook group, of course, has great information. And so that all just resonated with me. Even the title, just anti-diet, so that really piqued my curiosity. And then again, like I said, the content she was providing, I'd read over it, and the intuitive eating, and I was just like so fascinated by it all. So it was just a natural choice to go and talk more with her. With Leah. You're right here. It's weird not being on Facebook Live. Like it's just me and you, but I know there's like Facebook people, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to get used to.
Yeah.
So when we started working together, the main things, I kind of have like this intake that we do to kind of assess what your problem areas are. And the things that really stood out were like your cravings, like you mentioned, like lots of just nighttime snacking, and then some like body image confidence challenges. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. So, and I'm just going to be super honest with whoever's watching this or the replay, what have you. The late night thing, it's a big issue for me, because I know that it just was very unhealthy habits for me. So I would just, once the evening is settled and, kid is in bed, what have you, I'd be sit down. And I always felt like that was my time with my husband. Like that was our only time we had together. But really, we're just sitting there watching TV. We weren't really communicating or anything. And so I would get snacks and I get my wine and I just settle in, for the night. And it just, it's just a really poor habit of mine. I'm not saying, anyone else, not judging anything, but I just knew for me, it just wasn't leading anywhere good. And so I had to figure out other ways to spend that time with my husband. Like, so now we walk during soccer practice, or, we're just finding other ways to make that time work. And so, yeah, that was like a big, huge thing, because I wasn't just eating like carrots, it was like candy and chips and cheese and ice cream and you name it. And so,
yeah. Well, and what I like love about that is, like, you even said that you were spending time with your husband, but it wasn't necessarily like quality time, right? It was just, we're coexisting. And I've had this same complaint with my husband. Like, we spend a lot of time together, but we're not really bonding or enriching our relationship at all. So being able to like go on walks together instead of just sitting on the couch and binge watching Netflix is a lot more helpful. And I think I remember you also mentioned like finding other like hobbies and things to keep you occupied in the evenings.
Yes. So I joined a book club, and I made sure that I got the actual physical book, because it's hard to eat when you're turning pages. And so, and then I would just find something that I really like. And so this is really funny. You guys can judge me if you want, but like, I really love my shoes. I have a lot of shoes. And so I just was like, I'm just going to rearrange my shoes one night. And then like 2 nights later, I was like, oh, I don't know if I like it that way. So just finding little things to occupy that time. Like Leah said. Other than, like, I think of that Friends episode where Rachel is talking to Chandler, like, you want to call her, get your butt in the bathtub, or go shoe shopping, or, so that was kind of a mindset change that I had to work on. So,
yeah. And, we talked about this a lot, like, there's nothing wrong inherently with snacking, having your nighttime wine or whatever. It's just like when it just becomes like a routine or a pattern, that's when we want to start taking a closer look at it. And are you actually enjoying that? We think that we're doing that because it's our me time and it's our treat to ourselves for surviving our day or whatever. But is there that intentionality behind it, or is it just habitual? And so there was a thing with peanut M&Ms with you.
Yes, I was just going to bring that up. I was just going to say, I will never forget that. Leah had asked me one time, I was talking to her about, we'd won this big jug of peanut M&Ms, like the Costco big one from Bunko. And I was just eating them. And, Leah asked me, it was just so simple too. I couldn't believe it. She just goes, do you even like peanut M&Ms? And it stopped me dead in my tracks, and I had to really think about it. And I was like, well, yeah, I do. but the point was that, like, I had to stop and think about that. And it just, I'll never forget that. It was.
Yeah. And I only asked that question.
Yeah.
I only asked that question because I have experienced that, where I'm like eating something that I'm like, I don't even like this. Why am I eating it? Versus like really enjoying something. If you're enjoying those peanut M&Ms, then absolutely, like, keep eating the peanut M&Ms if that's really bringing you something, adding something to your life. But if it's not, and it's just mindless, then it's like, okay, we get to like create that pause and just check in with ourselves and see if that's something that's really serving us or not.
Yeah.
Cool. So what would you say is like the biggest mindset shift or takeaway that you had in our time together?
I think for sure the biggest mindset shift alone was just relief of knowing, like, this isn't another diet. This isn't another, there's a little bit of work to it. Like, you have to make an effort and think about things and meet with Leah. But that's fun. Like, that is fun. And it's not, for me, the mindset shift was just like, whoa, I don't have to worry about dieting or what I'm eating all the time. I don't have to keep track of that, or I don't have to shame myself because I had a donut and now I got to eat 12 carrots, so that was
Carrots get a really bad rap.
I love carrots. I love carrots. It's just the first thing that pops in my head, but yeah. So that was the mindset shift. But like the biggest thing I learned was the food scale and how to read my hunger. So that was probably the most helpful thing. There are so many helpful things, but that was probably the one that for me personally was the easiest to maintain and manage and keep up with. So, and Leah can go more depth about it, but it's just knowing like, oh, I'm going to get a little bit hungry. I'm starting to get a little bit hungry. I maybe don't start this project at work if I'm going to go heat up my lunch, or make sure I have a little bar in my drawer or something until this call goes extra long or what have you. So just a teeny bit of planning ahead, and sensing your hunger and just knowing like, am I one hungry? Am I two hungry? And again, Leah can go way more in depth.
Yeah. If anybody wants the hunger scale, it's in the Intuitive Eating Food Journal for Beginners. That's in the free guide section of the group, or you can just drop a comment and I can send it to you as well. But yeah, like, a lot of people think intuitive eating is just only eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full, and like, that's it. And that is a really big piece of it, that yes, we want to get in tune with our body and make sure that we're eating when we're hungry, meaning not going too long without eating and getting that hanger monster attack where we end up making decisions that aren't in our best interest because we're starving, and also making sure that we're eating when we're hungry. The other side of that, not eating like just because, when we don't have those hunger cues. So it is really at the foundation of intuitive eating, is to really connect with those body cues.
And that's what really helped me with the late night, because I would stop and I'd really have to stop myself at the pantry and say, are you really hungry? And really, really think about it, and then drink some water and then ask myself again, are you really hungry? So yeah, that was super important in that, helping me with that.
Yeah, cool. Was there anything in the coaching process that surprised you?
I wrote this down. Hold on. Let's see. I think I wrote a couple things down. Okay, yes. I wrote a couple things down and I wanted to really talk about one, but so just mostly how free I feel. Like, I seriously don't care about dieting at all. And I know I shared this with Leah once in one of our sessions, but I was scrolling through Facebook and a gal had posted about, what are your favorite detox juice diets or something like that. And normally I would have just flown into those comments and I would have copied and pasted all the websites and went to every single one of them and, checked it all out. And I opened the comments and I read the first two and I went, what am I doing? Like, I don't even care. And that's when I knew. I was like, I got Leah. I don't, or I have, so I have all these tools now. So that was the most surprising, is just being free of that whole thing. Like, I don't even care.
Yeah.
So I don't even worry about it anymore. I just,
I hope it frees up so much brain power, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't realize until you put the goggles on to actually look at it, that how much time and energy and effort we spend thinking about diets or debating, should I go on a diet, or should I do this, or should I, even negotiating, oh, that was kind of a carb heavy meal, or, all of that.
Yes.
Inner banter that we have. And when you really can embrace intuitive eating and start getting the hang of it, it all just falls away. And
exactly.
you
Yes,
get
the
to
inner
think about other
banter
things.
is so freeing. Like
Yeah.
yesterday was Easter and I'm like, I had some candy and stuff and then, but I wasn't mad about it, didn't
Mhm.
shame myself, didn't, you know,
Didn't
feel
make yourself
guilty.
run 5 miles on the
Yeah,
treadmill today to make up for it.
no, no.
Yeah.
So that was the most surprising how freeing I feel.
Mhm. Yeah, I do want to touch a little bit on the body image piece if you're comfortable with that. I know because that was
Sure.
one of the bigger challenges for you when we first started. And I remember like halfway through the program, we kind of do a check-in again, and we were already seeing improvements in those areas. And we hadn't even started
Yes.
talking about body image yet. It was just from the food conversation. So like, is that, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is it because of like that mind banter disappeared, or what do you think that was that kind of started the body image improvement?
I think the mind banter for sure. And then I was seeing, I'm not going to make claims or anything here, but I was seeing improvements, like my clothes were a little looser fitting, and because I think I was so connected to, am I really hungry? Am I just a little bit hungry and I need something small? Or so, I saw that piece of it working and my clothes started to become a little looser, which gives you a little bit of confidence. And
Mhm.
then I just, I cleaned up my social media a little bit. I just kind of stopped following people that I was, you know, compare comparing, comparison is the thief of joy,
Mhm.
right? So I just kind of stopped following those accounts that I was like, I was constantly comparing myself to them. And then I looked for other accounts that were more like my size, my shape. And
Yeah.
so that really helped a lot.
Yeah.
But yes,
Well,
I think the mindset thing just,
mhm.
it sort of fell together and I can't explain exactly how, but,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's
It's
still a
it's
work in progress,
and
as
it's
you know.
something that I do commonly see with people is that the body image does start to improve once you kind of loosen up the reins on the diet talk and the obsessing about the scale. You also started yoga while we were
Mhm.
working together. I think right
Yes,
when we first started working together, you signed up for yoga. So
yes.
how has that been?
So that's been really good. And it's always been scary for me because I have very short limbs and I always feel like I wouldn't be able to do the poses correctly and that kind of thing. And so I found a place that my son goes to jiu-jitsu at the same time, and it's the same people that run it. So it's very convenient. So instead of sitting in my car for an hour, waiting for jiu-jitsu, I can be doing yoga at the same time. So it's kind of like, why not? Um, and so yes, that's really helped too with I highly recommend yoga
Yeah.
for
Well,
maybe.
and I think you had mentioned like it's helped you kind of improve your body appreciation and like noticing like what your body can do and
Yes.
seeing your flexibility improve and all of those kinds of things
Hmm.
helps contribute to that positive body image as well.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
Um, was there any hesitation in signing up? Any like, I don't know if this is going to work for me kind of debate?
Um, I don't think so. Not really. Because like I mentioned before, I think I was seeing you every week, and so
Mhm.
I had that trust factor already. Um, but not really, to be honest.
Good.
But if somebody was hesitant, I would say, just be honest with Leah, express your concerns to her, and she can definitely work with you and provide options. And so, but yeah, just I didn't have much hesitation.
I like it.
Yeah.
Just let's just do it
Yeah,
all in.
let's just do it.
Cool. And you are also signed up for Body I Love You, which
Yes.
starts next month. So I'm
Yes.
really excited that we get to continue working together in a
Hmm.
little bit of a different capacity. What are you looking forward to with that?
So I cannot wait to put that together with what I've learned from you this far. So I'm looking forward to that one because that's a struggle for me, and it may be that it always will be a little bit, but you know, progress, not perfection, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, it's
yeah.
really about building more resiliency. Like it's, your body image stuff, and it's never going to go away just because of the nature of the society that we live in. This
Mhm.
is just not very accommodating to different body types. And we're told all the time that we're not good enough or we're not right and so yeah, it's probably never going to go away, but we get to equip ourselves with tools to better handle when situations do come up that challenge us and make it so that it doesn't push us as far off the deep end. It's just like, oh, that's like a little uncomfortable, but you can pull yourself back.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you think that people need to know about the experience?
I wrote some stuff down. Let's see. Um, I think that this is attainable, right? So, when you go into like a diet or maybe you've experienced coaching before, you know, sometimes it's like, oh man, this is a lot of work and this isn't like that. Like it doesn't feel like work. It's at all. Like um it's just I don't know how to explain it, but it's very attainable and um the tools you're provided with are easy to do. You don't have to open like a big textbook and read through it and be like, what am I
Mhm.
supposed to do today? You just, am I hungry?
Mhm.
It's easy. It's natural.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's definitely my goal with it, is to make it almost feel like you don't have to think about it. Like
Hmm.
it's your new norm without having to put in effort. Because if you're not having to really feel like you're putting in effort, that's what's sustainable. Right. And
Exactly.
especially when you're coming from the diet world, diets always feel like a lot of work. Like, even if they say they're not work
Yes.
and that, oh,
Yes.
it's just easy, they're all work, or
Yeah.
following a strict exercise plan. They're all just feel like work. And so it's really important to have this not feel like work, and to have this
Exactly.
feel easy and natural and doable. And what's great about like the one-on-one space is that we get to kind of also go at your own pace, right? So like if there's something that you get hung up on, we can like revisit that as many times as we need to.
Hmm.
Or if there's something that you just get right away, it's like, okay, cool, we can like move on and keep building on that.
For
So
sure. For
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yep. And I remember asking you to review a little bit.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, anything else that you want to add about the experience or
Um, it was great. Like I said, it was super freeing. It was super attainable. Um, if you have questions, if you feel okay, put them in the comments. If not, message me. Um, I'll be honest with you and I can share a little more if you need to know more. But yeah, I think it was a great overall experience. And I am so glad that there is something like this because I'm 48 years old and I've never heard of anything like this. Like I've only ever heard of, like Leah says, diet culture. So it's just so refreshing to be like, no, it's not a diet. It's not weight loss coaching. It's completely different than that. So
yeah,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that awesome offer of being able to chat with anybody.
Yeah.
We can like drop your name in the comments on this. So if anybody wants to be able to find you, that an okay way to do that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing the last few months. And I was so jazzed about your results, and
Yeah.
just, I think you did such an amazing job, and star pupil.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Leah.